Hey, what's up guys, welcome to April Education. My name is Chris. 25th February is 3 weeks from now. It's also the day we'll see for the first time the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus at the WWDC launch in Spain. So there's generally a lot of hype and rumors and leaks about this phone, and everybody wants to see how this 2018 flagship from Samsung is gonna compete with the completely redesigned and very successful iPhone X. And if the past is anything to go by, most of the rumors and leaks we get turn out to be true. So for this video, I've put together the latest rumors and leaks about the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus. And so here's everything you need to know or expect from the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus. The general design of these new flagship phones will be pretty much the same as S8 and S8 Plus. The bezels at the top and the bottom are slightly smaller in these new phones, but the screen size remains the same as their predecessors. 5.8 inches for the S9 and 6.2 inches for the S9 Plus. So with the bezels getting smaller and the screen size remaining the same, means the actual phone is shrinking in height and it's also generally slimmer. So this should give us a higher screen to body ratio, close to 90%, up from 83% in the previous versions of the phone. I think a 90% screen to body ratio will be perfect for these Samsung Galaxy phones. I just think all phones should have a little bezel at the bottom and at the top just to protect that display. But anyway, the rest is as usual: glass at the back for wireless charging, rounded corners, and overall it just looks like S8 or S8 Plus at first glance. At the back of the phone, the fingerprint scanner will shift from its previous position in the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the S8 Plus, which was adjacent to the camera, and these new flagship phones will have the fingerprint scanner right where we asked Samsung to put them, below the camera. The previous placement was kind of hideous and it got a lot of bad reviews, and it's good to see that Samsung is actually listening to the consumers. So Samsung will also retain the 3.5mm headphone jack in the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus. Samsung will do very well to retain the headphone jack in the new flagship phones, and makes immense pressure to drop it and look modern like its competitors. Phones like the iPhone and the Pixel are all getting rid of the headphone jack. But then again, Samsung listens to customers, and most customers want the 3.5mm headphone jack at the moment. Obviously at this point everything I'm saying is based on rumors, and rumors from reliable sources. If you doubt the design of the S9, Dbrand, for instance, on their website have already prepared an order page for the Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus skins, and from there you can be able to see the design of the new flagship phones. In the camera department we also have a few changes, and the main one is on the main camera on both phones. I don't know what Samsung is going to call it, but I'm calling it the variable aperture system or something like that. So basically what happens here is you can vary or you can change the aperture of the main camera between f1.5 and f2.4. So f1.5 is obviously a wider aperture and it lets in more light, so that's going to be great in photography at night or in low lit places. And the f2.4 aperture can be used to take those outdoor shots, so that's going to be awesome to see. I'm kind of pumped up for that, and if this is true, it's going to be the first time that this is done on a smartphone. I can't wait for that one. So the smaller S9 will have a 12 megapixel camera sensor at the back with a variable aperture system and optical image stabilization, and the larger S9 will have dual cameras at the back, the main camera being the 12 megapixel camera sensor with the variable aperture system, optical image stabilization, and also a secondary camera, which I'm not sure what it does, probably another telephoto lens. So these cameras are also rumored to have super slow motion capabilities, some leaks claiming up to 480 frames per second in 720p. This is definitely a higher frame rate than what you saw in the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone X that had super slow motion videos at 240 frames per second, but the iPhone did that in 1080p, which is definitely a higher resolution. So phones shipping in the USA and China will have the Snapdragon 845. Phones shipping to Europe, Middle East and Africa will have Samsung's own new Exynos 9810 chip. So both of these are very powerful and the best processors we've seen in Samsung devices to date. With these processors we expect better efficiency, prolonged battery life, higher download speeds. Some leaks actually suggest that the Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus are capable of 1.2 gigabits download speeds, which is ridiculous because I don't think any carrier in the world can give you those speeds. It's virtually not practical, at least in 2018, but it's good for Samsung's ego because it kind of dwarfs iPhone X's 600 MB LTE download speeds, which is also very ridiculous. These are features we will need 1 or 2 years from now, maybe when we can stream 4K or 6K or even 8K videos on our smartphones. But for now, it's just good to know that your phone is capable of that. So there are also rumors about Samsung implementing Face ID like the one we saw in iPhone 10, but this time it's going to also add the iris scanner, which already exists in Samsung phones, to create an even stronger biometric security feature for our phones on the Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus. I'm not really sure about the name. I think it's Intelligent Scan or something close to that, but it's going to rival iPhone 10 or basically just copy iPhone 10. So if this is implemented, it's going to be even more secure than what we saw in the iPhone 10, because it combines the infrared scanner for the 3D facial recognition system and the already existing iris scanner for the Samsung Galaxy phones. That will also be exciting to see if it comes to pass. The same infrared 3D facial recognition technology is also rumored to be used by Samsung to literally copy, or to be subtle, just create their own version of iPhone 10's animojis. So like iPhone 10 users, you'll be able to create animated emojis controlled by your own facial movements. There are also a couple of reliable leaks and rumors for the S9 and S9 Plus batteries. They're not very different from what we saw in the 2017 flagships, the S8 and S8 Plus. They're actually relatively the same batteries. In fact, the S9 will have a smaller battery capacity of 3500 milliamperes than the S8 Plus, which had 3600 milliamperes. So there's obviously a slight dip in capacity there, while the smaller Galaxy S9 will have the exact same battery we had in the Galaxy S8. So you're probably worried about this. I'm not, and I'll tell you why you shouldn't be worried. You're probably worried because you think the same or a smaller battery means shorter battery life. Battery life is affected by a lot of factors, which include battery capacity. The efficiency of the processor and the operating system have a bigger hand in general to battery life than the battery capacity. I actually think the battery life on both the S9 and the S9 Plus will be better, given that they have a better and more efficient Snapdragon 845 processor on these devices and probably the latest software. I think Samsung is being smart and cautious about its battery by opting for efficiency rather than battery capacity to improve the general battery life of your smartphone. We all know what happened when Samsung really tried to push the battery capacity with the Galaxy Note 7, and the whole flagship had to be recalled because batteries were exploding in everybody's pockets and in planes, and it was just an ugly scene. So it's 3000 milliamperes and 3500 milliamperes for the S9 and the S9 Plus respectively, but you can definitely expect better battery life. You can check me on that one. The release date is 25th February, which is the only thing we are sure about, because Samsung actually tweeted this in a tweet, which also highlights that the Samsung Galaxy S9 and the S9 Plus camera will be their main focus in this 2018 flagship. Before I finish, I feel like having a Dear Samsung moment. Dear Samsung, the Bixby button on the side, can we remap it to something different, something we actually want, like the camera, or to launch something else that we want? Can we remap that button? We promise we won't remap it to Google Assistant. So anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Leave your comments and questions in the comments box below the video, and don't forget to subscribe. My name is Chris, and I will talk to you guys soon.